Howdy, y'all. Bristol here. Welcome to Saturn Archive. Today, we'll be talking about the alchemizing of Saturnine power and what it can mean for the collective as much as the individual. And I wanted to really focus on the painting by Goya, who illustrates Saturn devouring his children. And a lot of the misconception that I'm seeing within really everybody that has come to do their research, everybody thinks Saturn is evil. But most importantly, everybody thinks Saturn is Satan. And that could not be further from the truth. Because Saturn is really a liberator. As Saturn is really part of the personal planets, which include, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, and the Moon. And Saturn, in this case, as we observe this painting by Goya here, Saturn is not evil. Saturn is basically, what this painting basically illustrates is time devours all. And time is not a monster. Saturn is not a monster. Saturn is the ruler of the limitations of this realm that we dwell. In the Greek mythology, his father Uranus, he castrates his father, which represents heaven, to basically transcend into matter and to create the structural material realm that we dwell in. And that is evident in his symbolism of the cube, the three-dimensional black cube. And everybody seems to just really fall into this wrong mindset, this dualistic mindset of Christianity and Christianity versus everything else, when really Christianity is just a product of authoritative, institutionalized belief systems. They use the same philosophies as we'll express here, but it's all misconstrued to keep Christians, as well as people of other religions, within a state of fear and worshiping what the institution puts out. So it prevents the individual alchemization into spiritual liberation for the individual. And for the collective, there's a lot of Saturnine principles that could be executed, especially right now in the times that we're seeing. And so really, as we unpack this, Saturn is obviously the principle of time, decay, inevitability, as well as cycles and karma. One of the main astrologers that I study under is Archie Dunlop. And he's got a channel, Talking Astrology with Archie, and he's probably the best astrologer on YouTube, without a shadow of a doubt. And so everything that Saturn produces, whether it's, youth, empires, bodies, age, civilizations, time devours all, and we cannot escape that. That is exactly what Saturn illustrates here, especially the sense of Saturn being fought against. And when the popular thing that I've heard from former prisoners say, do your time, don't let time do you. And that is exactly reflective in this principle. And so the terror is the realization of what Saturn brings forth, which is the end. And Archie, in one of his recent astrology readings, I can't remember, it was a few days ago, but he was talking about how a lot of cave diving videos are coming up on his feed, and how really getting trapped at the bottom of a cave and dying is a Saturnine aspect, simply because that karmic swing of that scythe, you bring it onto yourself. And when and I'm guilty of this too, so I mean, I'm not innocent in this regard. When you're fighting yourself, you're fighting Saturn. You're fighting the limitations. And all it is going to do is bring devouring of the self. It drags you down into hell, into the depths. And to free yourself from that depth, you have to burn in hell and go through that soul fire and liberate yourself like the phoenix rising. Excuse me. Shout out to Synergy Kombucha. If they want to sponsor me, I'm all for it. Lemonberry is what I prefer. Get your gut in check, people. But on a psychological level, depression and fear, mostly fear, Saturn drags you through that, and you have to confront that. And once you confront that, the painting itself of him eating his children, time devouring all, it represents what comes after. It represents renewal. You know, there's a Plutonic aspect to that, but Pluto is more of a subconscious force. Very intense subconscious force. And enduring the transitory hardships of life through discipline, and again, Saturnine aspect is discipline, through hard work, you can transcend hell. That's all it means. Suffering is a means of growth. And the reality of it is, it's unavoidable. Hence the devouring. When you get devoured by time and letting the hardships run you, you get devoured. People fall into addictions. Neptune's subconscious, as well as Pluto and Uranus. Very subconscious forces. They're not personal planets. They're more subconscious. I got to keep ringing it in true. And so that's why Saturn is known as the gatekeeper. Because once you transcend the hardships through discipline and facing your fears, facing what is, you gain clarity. You transcend time. You know, your spirit transcends time. Even within the human vessel experiencing the material matrix of time and experience, your spirit transcends. And through that transcendence, using Saturn's son, Jupiter, to expand upon that transcendence, you can then take that into a whole nother level. And this is all about alchemizing the power of Saturn to work for you. Through discipline and hard work, you transcend limitations in time. And really, it just takes time. That's all it is. And people who are devoured psychologically, they get devoured by anxiety, depression, bitterness, nihilism. And you lose everything. You lose yourself in that cycle, that karmic swing of the scythe. And he keeps you from entering the gates of heaven itself, even experiencing heaven on earth, which is your transcendence, your alchemizing of the hardships into transcendence, using the son of Saturn, Jupiter, to expand upon that transcendence. That's the benefic part of Jupiter. And if you use the children of Jupiter, you want to include Venus by observing the beauty, using the beauty, and understanding, wow, this is all just cycles, man. And Mars, having that forward action to persevere through it. Mercury, Hermes, accepting the divine messages that you gain, accepting those whispers from divinity. because you can fall into the archetype of Satan, or you can fall into the archetype of Jesus Christ if you want to play it like that. You want to do that standard cookie cutter Christian mindset there. Yeah, not insulting Christianity, just say them. And really the big reality is, what do you do with your time before you lose yourself? Do you transcend? Do you expand upon it? Do you use the light of the moon and the light of the sun to enhance your vitality and go within to then observe your intuitive guidance? Because all 7 of those personal planets, personal forces that make up our reality, that is the hidden lesson, is managing the karmic swing of the scythe through hardships and discipline. And unless an individual learns to live with time rather than against it, do your time, don't let time do you. That's what makes Saturn beautiful and not terrifying. He is the ultimate teacher. Father Time is the ultimate teacher, and that is all this painting from Goya really hones in on and represents. It scares people to know that we're going to die. But death is a cycle. It's necessary, and it's part of the bigger picture. And to transcend as the phoenix from the ashes, that's the ultimate lesson to be learned. And for the collective, to alchemize this collectively, without Saturn, say if it was just Jupiter, without Saturn, we have tyranny. And throw Pluto in that. If there was no Saturn, just Pluto and Jupiter, you have nihilism. And it makes me appreciate Saturn more. It makes me want to go with the flow of Saturn, because that's all he asks of you. And when your Saturn return happens, whichever, point in your astrological natal chart Saturn lies, he's asking you, did you learn? Have you learned? What have you learned? How are you going to apply what you've learned? And collectively speaking, as we see the overexpansion of totalitarian rule and as I've said, the tyrannical totalitarian rule over the masses that we see now, it is up to the collective to exercise those Saturnine principles on the ruling bodies. I'm not saying become a communist, become a socialist. I'm not saying any of that shit. I'm saying this is something that the Founding Fathers understood. And this makes me in defense of Freemasonry and the Founding Fathers, because they understood these principles. That's why the Constitution is really a beautiful combination of all 7. Remember, G equals 7 on the Masonic logo. All 7 of these planetary influences. They understood that the Saturnine restriction of government by the people, if upkept, prevents tyrannical expansion as we see now. And don't forget, y'all, please hit like, share it, and subscribe if you like this kind of material. Use your alchemy. Alchemize the pain into healing, because that's all Saturn asks from you. He's not there to be evil. He's there to test you. And he is the ultimate teacher. Peace.